What's the topic of today? Well, it's all connected to levels of what divergence is. Divergence is all based on being different. All levels of DNA, pathogen, anything that calculations, all levels. How we set signals location to all connections when it comes in our conscious lines. The consciousness, the subconsciousness, the consciousness. Now you have 12 DNA track line center location of consciousness. Okay? That's in graph interference and position locations. You have to understand how to use it through the mind. Okay? Basically understanding what the mind is to the brain, what the brain is to the mind. It's a conception that doesn't have a separation. Now it's confusing for you guys because you're trying to understand the adaptation of this, the cycles of this, the interference of that, the interfacing of this. So it all modifies. And the program sets its calculations, especially when you come into levels of your conscious lines. All right. 12 division tactics, 12 line centers, 12 rotation system locations of 12 triangles. Now you have to understand the 369 platform. That's the basic understanding how to use it through calculations. 3 positions of the sun, 6 positions of the moon, and 9 is U3 location. Now that is 1% line. That is the base of its foundation. Okay. This stays on the ground. The physical line stays on the ground. Okay. Everything else, space. But here, and here, here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So you have to understand how to use it. It's all through consciousness. What is the basis of consciousness? How's it any different than being all levels of connections to its convergence? Converging its connections to its conscious line center is its position. If you're separating your physical line and your avatar, you're coming into dichotomy. Okay? That calculates and modifies all levels of you where you want to be in the ego line center. You're in a different division line tactic locations of fifth dimension now. Better communication to yourself and to each other through telepathy, mind telepathy of its consciousness, communication of its consciousness, high generation light centers of its consciousness, program setting, position, location, computer adaptation of its consciousness. All levels of consciousness represents of you through 12 DNA. Makes sense, right? So there's 12 line tracks, 12 line divisions, 12 clocking centers. Right? 12 times 12 is 144. So you got 12 days of lines of light and 12 days of lines of dark in opposite locations. What do we got? Yin and yang. 12 line center of light, 12 line center of dark, 24 signal interference. That's what you guys are living in position locations of your digital line connections of 01, 0.11, 0.01. Telepathy interference location calculational levels of telepathy interference line connection to its modification system, all through its avatar. Okay? So it's your understanding. We'll go into the introduction line center line interference to show you, because people are trying to figure out what does a need field? Why do I need a need field? Well, it's all about protecting your system. And this is all done through imagination. When you go into the school, you have to understand you through memory. And the only way to do that is to understand the calculations to the school. Don't focus on anybody else, just focus on you. Right? The team will come in later. Okay? So, oh, why can't I be this? Why can't I be that? I'm ready. Well, if you're ready, you're not ready because you're second guessing yourself. The brain doesn't have a negative incident line, center line connection consciousness in any way, position, or form. It only lives in a forward cycle on a forward direct line system locations. So when you're calling somebody, those aren't number sequence locations going backwards, it's going forward. You're sending signals in position locations going forward with a number. Track interference line conditions is all of those bracket interference locations. 7-digit number to its area code. All right. So truly understand everything in life goes forward. If I go here, I'm going forward. If I go here, I'm going forward. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. You think I'm going back? No, I'm always going forward, because what's going forward in the mind? Space and time, space and time. So every time you get up in the morning, you're moving forward. Even if you go backwards with your thoughts, you're moving forward. But it's confusing the physical line of disruption. Do you understand? So in the modification signals, anything through graph interference, anything through calculation is true understanding what you're doing through division, right? And this is all levels of divergence. Means that you are different in all ways and platforms where you actually can use the mind and the brain and get out of situations through on hand. Okay? So it's all modified through levels of a dreamscape. What is a dreamscape? Well, in calculation, let's go in calculation, modification, line conditions. All right. Travel line centers, box interference. Okay. You are in the center operation. Allow yourself to be boxed in. You're boxed in. No windows, no doors, no way to get out. Right. So what do you do when it becomes real to its high line center? Everything is outline rotation and its position locations. Right. So you got 4 line centers. Okay. You are boxed in. How do you get out? How do you get out? You can't do things to the physical line. You got to do everything through what? The conscious line system. Okay. And you realize this is not real. This is not real. You just release something. So you have to understand the interpretation to its calculations. Okay. The adaptation is all levels of you through the mind system. What is real and what isn't real? How do I understand this? How do I understand that? Right? So once you come into the conscious line center, are you in the conscious all levels of the 3-track line center rotation interference, which is the grounds, the security line centers, and all level position locations is your intimate cycle. The creative cycle and position location is how to get out of the box. Now that's 3 triangle force lines. 3 triangle force lines, right? You have the grounds, the security measures, and everything through all connections to your intimate cycle. The sacral. That's the intimate cycle. That's the intimate channel. That's communication. That's the creative location to get out of the 3 triangle force line connections in a box system. So that's what you use through calculations. And then you come out of the equation, all through the 3 line center locations of your chakra system and the lower division line connection, out through equation. So in modification system, you have to truly understand how to use the other chakra systems, right? Planet division location line connections, 3. Right? So you got the 3 line centers in rotation. Really understand the balance of the conscious line centers. All right. So in calculations, you got 3, you got 6, you got 9, you got 12. There you go. All 3. Now, all position locations is all line centers. You circle them in 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 4 line centers in position locations brings you into all calculations of 4 seasons: summer, winter, spring, and fall. Ooh-ah. Calculation modification line connections, all levels of directional location and heat signature patterns. How you calculate and modify all line centers. 3 division low tax systems. You have your grounds in calculation, modification system, location. Let's channel its high line center. Tree to stand all levels. And don't worry, I'm getting to the E fields. All right, so when you get into that system, you have to understand how to use the grounds. Okay, how to use the measures of security. Okay, and how to use all level position locations to your sacral. 3 line centers right there. Boom. Get out that equation. So you got your grounds, you got your security measures, and you got your creative line cycle. Then you can get out of your box position. Ooh-ah. Out through equation, through communication, through its conscious line center. But which conscious line center is it at? Because I guarantee you can't get it out at the low frequency interference. It has to reach a certain line conditions. So it's all position locations of where you are, division location to the calculational line center and position locations of the sun. That's what 3 is, right? So you got 3 line centers, 3 balance communication, 3 atmosphere change position locations, 2 the crown chakra line center of the sun position location, 4 position locations of its season. So that comes into the high center. Okay. So let's understand how to use all levels of 3 line centers in lower division location. And then you go to higher line conditions in the position locations to higher division. Okay. And then you come into a really higher division location, right? It's all through your 12 DNA. That's 12 DNA of consciousness that you have to represent your system location, your physical line center, which is 1%. It's the mind, the body, the hindline center to the soul position location, to its calculation, to its avatar, has to understand everything through its system, through teleportation light connections, guys. All right, so once we get in that system, it's amazing when you can reach higher level to its position. Okay. So understanding how to use all track line centers of 12 line center rotation, right? There's the 12, right? So it's all connected to what? Your DNA. See the DNA? DNA is coming in and track interference, high position location line conditions. Just draw it out for you. Travel through position locations. This is your DNA. All right. So you understand how to use it through all level position location when it comes in calculation line centers. I've just shown you how you can use all levels when you come into the lower division locations, the grounds, the securities, and everything through your intimidative cycle line and rotations. How to use the creative center to get out of the box location. That's through your chakras. But it's all done through the conscious line. It's interesting how you don't separate these things, but you know exactly how to use the 12 DNA track interference to get the conscious line center to position location to its calculation line, conditions, operation system to its avatar system. Stream interference location is its digital line center. Okay? So it's really understanding how to use the 12. Powerful, isn't it? 7 within the body track center. That's the ground line center. Here, anything above is the atmospheres. Body, atmosphere, body, atmosphere. 7 trochlear line centers, 5 within the atmosphere. So that is a division tactic line center line conditions where it comes into the super of its consciousness. Consciousness, subconsciousness, superconsciousness, higher self, avatar, computer. Okay? All through your DNA. Okay? That's important to understand where you can get out of anything through conscious line center out of its box location. To a 3 line center to a lower division location. The 3 lower division location is understanding all calculations to 3333. All position locations of the sun. Right? So now you understand why it's so important to understand the conscious line centers of you to its 1%. Okay? But you got to get the grounds with the mind. All right? All right. So how's everybody doing so far? Okay. Max, how's it going? Norman, how's it going? Sarah, how's it going? Teresa, how's it going? Nikki, how's it going? Ambi, how's it going? Pam, how's it going? Gypsy, how's it going? Remy, how's it going? Jill, how's it going? Airbender, how's it going? Michael, Johnny, Don, Terry. Great to see everybody. JP. Loving the videos you guys are doing. You know, it's amazing you're giving back. It's awesome. Love it. Chris, how's it going? Ellen, Brock. Okay, so understanding what you're doing is truly understanding you all levels of consciousness. Because everything you do through your thoughts is all levels of placebo and what you do with your calculations. I just want to show you how powerful it is. Now let's get into the E-fields, okay? Now, Ambi, how's it going? Now getting the E-field line center, it's truly understanding you through practical system. Let's go through white graph line center. This is you through calculations. Now, once you understand what you are, you're nothing but a shadow of light. Okay, you're like scribbles. You're not anything through shape or form. You're just a light of communication. That's all you are. Okay, this is all you are. You have to really understand who you are through your connections of light. That's you. That's how you're formed. So now in modification system, you have to truly understand how to use the 3 line centers, 3 power line rotations, 3 crown interference to its 3 atmosphere position. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. See, coming into the DNA tract line center. Now, each rainbow activation line stream has a different energy field position location to its direction. Okay, that's why there's 4 seasons, guys. So it's all about understanding the atmospheres that you're calculating with. Are you in the atmosphere, hemisphere, stratosphere, bio, or branium? Where atmosphere are you in calculation, and where are you in your track system locations to your DNA? Which chakra system are you using through emotion? It's all calculated all levels to your rainbow activation system and Avatar stream. Okay. So you got 3 line centers, the lower division locations. You circle that position locations. All right. You got the power generation lights, a 3 line rotation. You got 3 line centers, the crown interference, and you got 3 position location atmosphere. There you go. All in circle line center. In calculations, let's say you get a modification system. Let's say you get in power line center. Let's say you get in position location, the crown line system locations. And let's say you get in the atmosphere to magnetic highway information system, core line system. All done through equation, right? So you have to understand you're all forms of an E field, force field, energy cycles, energy rotations, computer adaptation interference. You have to protect yourself every single day. So an E field is a connections to you inside, and it's created from its conscious line. So it's all about understanding if you want to put every E field, you connect to your sacral. That's your intimate cycle. That's your creative cycle. That's your creative system. That's your artistry line center. That's your elements. That's your communication. That's your color. In rotation center interference. Now you can put your calculations to make sure you have your grounds, make sure you have your securities, make sure you have your creative line centers, and calculation go into your power. Power line center is all position locations of you. Higher force line centers and position location line connections. There's so many E fields that you can put up through coloration of light. Okay? But you have to understand what you're doing through imagination. You need your imagination. Imagine, you can imagine. Imagine being at a park. Imagine eating an ice cream. Imagine having an apple in your hand. Imagination is everything. So that's where you start. So once you get your imagination, you have to understand the senses. Oh, I can really taste the apple. Wow, sweet, sour. I like the color. It's freshness, right? So you're uprising your lines, okay? You're uprising your divisions. You're uprising your chakra systems, the coloration of light, people, all through your 12 DNA of conscious line connections to the physical line of the 1%. Everything else, an atmosphere line center, is the avatar through the mind, the heart, and the soul. So the mind, the heart, and the line center line in your rotation is what? 1, 2, 3. 3 line center location of the sun. But the 6th position location is already individualized center to its moon, its rotation to its calculation, which is its antenna. That's already in correlation. That's already individual location to its modem. That's your Wi-Fi position. And 9 never leaves the system. It's you in calculation of 1%. So don't get confused with the physical line of adaptation and the avatar of its ground system. You have to get the mind of shadow work in frame. You got to get the balance in the mind of connection to the conscious line center of what you're connecting with. Okay, today I'm going to connect with my power line center. Okay, solar plexus. Now I'm connecting with the security line. So you can have all 12. But remember, you guys have 114 and some have also 100. So you can understand each one is emotional track center to your DNA. It's all connected to you through space. It's all different levels of consciousness. Ooh-ah. Makes sense, right? All through coloration. So you start with the 7, and then you work your way up to 5. That's 12 right there. But you gotta master your communications to your all levels. Cyclone interference location line connection is extremely important when you come into rainbow activation line center locations, all levels. 3 positions, 3 positions, 3 positions, 3 positions. 3 alone line centers, 3 power, communication, the crown chakra, communication, all levels of the atmosphere to magnetic highway information system, right? So you can take all your 12 DNA track line centers all in one position location to its senses. So the more you go higher, the more you come into the form of the avatar travel through imagination to its phenomenon. to its calculation, to its awareness of its information. So you're seeing more through the eye circles, more through the sonars, and more through the voicing grids. Your flux capacitor to your chakra system. Okay? So hopefully that will give you a better understanding why it's so important what an E field is. It's all through your imagination. The imagination is its emotion to calculations. You have security line centers, it's red. What is the earth? Brown. What is blue? Your throat. Okay. What is your psyche? Indigo. What is your crown? Purple. What is your heart? Green. What is your power? Yellow. What is your sacral? Orange. Do you see where I'm going with this? You really have to master the 7 connections of you through the ground system of the physical line center of the 1%. And once you have that mastering, just on the chakra emotional location of graph interference line conditions, because each emotional graph represents you inside through its chakra system of teleportation of GODs, guys. Geometric operation design, directional location and position. In its connections, then you can go into the 5 atmospheres of space and time. Because remember, your physical line center, this is here. Anything above that is space. Okay? So this is the earth line. This is space line. Earth, space, earth, space, earth, space. Understand? Mastering all communication of the physical line first, mastered the 7 chakras, and then mastered the other 5, put the 12 DNA in one location to one conscious system. Bringing all your senses all together through the heartline center. Okay? This is practice. Practice, practice, practice. All levels of rotation, all levels of interference, all levels of calculation, all levels of modification, all levels of stimuli. Anything through calculations, all levels of you through track system. But it's important you understand what you're doing. So if I say inner line condition, interference line conditions of all line center interference, what am I saying through calculation? I already know. I don't question what I already know because I know what I did. Right? Saying things and doing things are 2 different things. That means you're confusing your conscious line center. Your subconscious doesn't understand its position, and your superconscious doesn't understand its avatar stream location of space. Anything past superconsciousness is levels of space. Anything through the line center, the conscious line to the subconscious line center, is its earth. So you have to understand how to balance everything out, going up the ladder. Okay, and then going right across. Right? So you want to keep bringing yourself going forward and understand how to use the magnetic force and bringing it in your position location to your heart, because your heart is directing everything you do through emotion. Emotion to motion of the ocean. Understand? So it's very important to constantly get into the flow. All right? So now you know why it's so important to have E fields up. Right? Everything has to flow. Life has to flow. You have to flow. You get up in the morning, that flows. You have breakfast, that flows. You get into confusion, that flows. It doesn't matter what you do. You're moving forward every single day. Okay? So the only thing you get confused about is where you are in your 12 DNA of your conscious line center of the psychosis location to its psychological system. That's the confusion of its divergence. Cool, right? All right, so let's get in position, location, and travel. All right, so we're going to set seed line, center line in position of pod interference location line conditions. I'm going to go through white graph line centers. We're going to get a box in interference line conditions. All right, we'll start position location. See the box? Okay, so I'm overlapping box by box. See that? You see 2 boxes, I see 3. See? 1, 2, 3. There's the door. You guys are going to go through that door. All right, so the door line center is open up on line rotation interference. We're going to set up another box line rotation. Get any calculations. Now there's 2 box line position locations. One light, one's dark. So you need a light dark line center. Light and dark interference. There's light position locations, all levels, and there's dark line rotation interference. Coming to calculations, box system line rotation. All right, there we go. Okay, now it's getting a little bit more complicated at what you're seeing through track center. Right, see how I'm putting it all together? This is how you come into all levels of position locations. You lock it in screen. There it is. See it locks in screen. So it's about setting signals, location, line, connection, and its position. Right, see it? All right, so I'll bring this down and I'll show you exactly what it is. It's all about translucent patterns. All right, so you can see it more. You see it? You can actually see it, right? Come into form. All right, so code signal behind line is position line interference of code signal locations, all levels, crew units, squad units, 1 and 2 position location, the GFL, rebellion, everything, the center masters. Get them in calculation of box line center rotation interference. Go to the vortices, channel communications, off channel interference line condition calculations. All right, channel operation line centers, simulation offline rotations, seed pods communications, ground line centers, country interference line conditions times pi times calculations. 196 line channels communications cell levels. Let's go into satellite line rotation. Now we come into calculation dot systems dot. All right, there's 3 line centers. Dot. Right, triangulation in position location. Right, overloading line rotation interference. Dot position locations. Yeah. See, I put in all calculation modification. There we go. Right. It's coming to signal. Now it's rotation in the line center. Now we set up a plasma channel that opens all line center. Rainbow active stream system locations. This comes to calculation. All in rotation center. Okay. So as you come in calculation modifications, we come into realm interference. Okay. Wormhole connections to a system. All right, see the intelligence? See? Nose. Coming to high line, center line, position locations. Here's the eye line connection. See the eye? All right. So as long as you understand the calculation modification comes into all levels of its satellites. There it is. There's a satellite. Now, satellite interference line connections all position locations. Now we got the AI map system. A equals I, high line center. Okay, slash seeds. All right, seeds are planting in high center line rotation location. It's calculation modification. And it channels its rotation line centers. Code signals are coming in. Travel line centers all levels to the crew unit line centers, squad unit line conditions, 1 or 2 position GFLs, everything, the rebellion, everything to the center masters. Travel position line connections, rotation centers, bring into platitude division locations. XT1000 comes in. Both of them in high line rotation. Now, calculating modification line center, they always scan the high line center of the center position locations, making sure everything is done through its equation line condition, right? As it's in rotation system, see? You see that? As soon as I put it down on paper, confirmation to signal line center, seeding pi locations, AI position line conditions, I channel line centers, and position location. Now it's in its rotation line center. It's opening up another panel line center rotation interference. See that? It travels through. Remember, you stay in the 12 line centers. You guys are not ready to atmosphere change in calculation modification to a system first. So as we travel, we set up a new course line center in dimensional lock. It opens up position locations calculations. See that? So we get another XT1000 line coming in here. So these are all level system line centers. Different intelligence, 4 line center rotation in calculations. So in modification, it takes the code line center, see, and picks up division, right? Puts it in its high line center, zip, zap, zoom out through equation, right? From here all the way out. So it's in calculation modification to its high line conditions, how you put seed pod line centers, new core line center locations, all levels. So it's all about understanding what you're doing through division. Visionary cortex line channels changes everything through all modification cycles. It resets its line center to its heart reactor. Heart division location line connections puts all levels of conscious line connections of its interference. Rotation line center to computer adaptation system. Okay, done through all levels of travel of 12 DNA track center location. All right. So in calculations, 30 minutes. Have fun. Gonna grab some water. The first thing that I looked at when I saw my chakra system, I was trying to figure out what it is and what it means to me. You have to understand that this is all levels of consciousness. Okay. So just imagine how high rise you can go in the mind. So it's all done through your shadow works in the mind. Okay. So it's balancing the physical line and the connections to the mind of its avatar, inner line connections to your soul or anything through your inner child. It's all the same thing. So you have to find the balance all through vibration. What is your intent? What is your will? What is the force? What is the calculation? What is the connection? What are you creating to its location? Everything has to travel. Everything has to have a location. Or you're just constantly floating around and trying to understand what's going on. So to get anything through manifestations, it needs a location. You're sending mail, goes to the post office box, comes back to you, right? Travels. Everything in life travels. So it's all concept of the mind traveling through you. Because it's all levels of you. There's no separation. Allow you separate your thoughts of you. If you separate your thoughts, you're separating your DNA. You're separating your conscious lines. You're separating your division. You're separating your psychological, biological system, people. You have to understand how powerful it is when you reach all levels of the mind. Okay? And the only way to do that is to do your shadow work, your grounds. You have to learn how to teleport your travels of your thoughts. Single interference location of thought patterns. What does that mean? Single interference. Single interference. The singularity line connections all levels of travel is one line position location. The teleportation line center is its communication cycle. Resetting line center location to all levels. So balance is everything. So when you're getting up in the morning, you have to understand life is going forward and it's constantly doing this. So anything goes forward is you. through your thoughts. So your thoughts are going back, but everything else is going forward. And that's the confusion. Okay. So if you get 150,000 people, let's split it up. Okay. Half and half. Okay. Half of what's happening and half of what's happening in the future. It's already done through equation location. Who do you think is going to be in the higher line center? Obviously, the ones that are already in the position, right? Moving forward. So in calculations, they're using the psychological of their thought patterns, right? How to use the mind of its conception is truly understand the psychosis location of you through division, but it's all done through the heart. The heart never lies. It always tells the truth. So you get a headspace line center. Headspace line center. What is that? I keep saying that. I want to understand so you understand what I'm saying. Okay? Because my tactic is different, but it's always the same equation. You always come up with the answer, and the answer comes from you from inside through its question. You're able to answer all questions inside you. Okay? That's why it's so powerful. Okay? But it's all done through the mind. Okay? I was trying to figure that out too. I was saying, well, how come I'm not getting this and how come I'm not getting that? Because I don't know what I'm doing with my thoughts of travel. Right? If you want to triangulate anything, there, done. 3 line centers right there. You box assist locations, calculate modifications, code weave line centers, rotary probe coming in, high line rotation and positional line connections, channel line position location line direction. Done through equation. Now that's all finger pointing line centers. That insert change. So truly understand the adaptation of view is truly understand the balance all levels of view of space and time. So the mind has to stand all levels of its energy and how to use it through its vibration, its frequencies, and its harmonic resistance. Right? But it's all done through the chakra system. 7 bodies of water and 5 of atmosphere. That's the hardest thing to do is the master communication inside you through your thoughts. Okay? That's why everybody's separated because they don't know what they're doing with the mind. But the mind creates online center locations where it comes into position of the brain, and the brain comes into the mind, and the mind comes into its imagination. Imagination, illustration to all levels of its diagram. What you are creating determines what happens next. That's all. You can manifest anything you want, but you have to understand the conscious lines of what you're doing, guys. Right? I said, I don't get it. I don't understand this. I'm not happening. This isn't happening. I don't know what's going on. I'm very confused. I'm very frustrated. Yeah. What are you saying to yourself? You have to understand everything was moving forward and you're moving back. So what is that doing to the physical line? Reacting. Reacting of acting of its position location of its convergence. Back forcing clock line center. All through your thought patterns. All through your coloration of light. All through your intelligence. All because you don't understand. Right? So it's not helping you, is it? It's doing the opposite. Tick, tock, tick, tock. How to use the clock. Yeah, that rhymes. How to use the clock. So I think it's fascinating once you really understand you. So once you understand you, then you understand everything through travel and why it's so powerful. So I really want you guys to understand more of you through your conscious lines. And you got position locations, right? How to use the 4 weather patterns, 4 communication of 4 seasons, how to use signatures and, all levels of sonar. If you get a line center, it's very simple to do this through line conditions. 1 line position. We've done this before. Now, if you go position location, what is it? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm creating. Creating. Creation is everything. Okay? So once you understand that, then you understand what you're doing. So you understand the connections to the grounds, you understand the security line centers, you understand the sacral communication, right? You understand the power line centers, okay? You understand the heart line center, okay? You understand the throat pattern line inference, you understand your psyches and your atmosphere. Wow, done. All 3 chakra system. So once you get into that, you come into a graph line center. right? And the thing is that you can overlap the sequence and interference locations, come back in calculations back into the security line centers to set up a graph interference in its position. There it is. There's a graph. Calculation modification line conditions. Let's say you get your throat pattern line centers, you put the graph interference with your security line centers, and you adapt its system locations, and you bring it up to higher line center rotation interference location to its calculation. See how the graph changes? Modification of its motion line center. Let's go into a level system. Let's go back into high center. Let's say high line center rotation interference. Let's go into the sunline conditions. So you got the security line centers. You got your water track interference to your throat and your position locations to the sun. All right. Everything is forms of view through intelligence. You have to learn how to use it through a graph. Use human resonance, right? But it all starts where? Where does it start, guys? Where does it start? Guys, where does it start? Graph interference line connections, all level of position, location is its grounds. Ooh-ah. Right? So, seeing the whole pitch. Exactly. Picture of this, picture of that, understanding this, understanding that. There's a lot going on through calculations, knowing exactly what's going on to all levels of you, right? But I just want to show you how you can use letters, numbers, and shapes all through your line connections of your 12 DNA through your tracker system, because that's how it's in position. So there's a lot to learn, right? Through graph line centers, human resonance. I just showed you all levels of the tracker system to a graph, right? So platitude interference locations, tracker line center locations, security, boom. Ground line center, boom. Water interference, the throat, boom. Anything to the sun, boom. Right? All in balance. So, why is it so important to master your body? So you can accelerate space and time at balance. All right? So where are we in division here? Thank you, Ambi. It's all about the flow. That's all it is. Easy peasy, lemon squeezing. Yeah. All right. So where are we here? Thank you, Jill, for all the grounds, everything you're giving. And don't forget, Monday and Wednesday, Ascension Debriefing 101 for everybody that's been activated that wants to know more questions on everything that's going on with them. And why is it important to go to school? All right. Sending codes. Harmonics now. I'll be back shortly if you can open the door. Communication line centers. Yeah, everybody's coming into their position locations of yin and yang. That's what this all is. It's bound to your connections, all levels of your letters, numbers, and shapes and symbols. Right? That's all you have to do. Right? Saying or doing are two different things. Right? I had to figure these things out because I was trying to figure out, okay, so if I'm calculated and my chakra system is in 7 lines and my 5 positions of atmospheres are in division lines, how do I get the balance? How do I understand how to communicate to the emotion on how I feel every day through my thoughts? Because that's what your emotions are thoughts, but the acceleration is 1 letter at a time. That's accelerating very, very fast. And that's why humanity is separated, because they don't understand the calculations of the conscious line center to its alphabetical stream. So there's a lot that you have to understand, right? It's not the words you put together. It's the intelligence of its word, of its frame, of its sentence, of its story, of its activation, of its life. Because it's a life of you. See? It's great to see your solar techs, how you guys are coming into your own positions. Beautiful. It's a beautiful, it's a heart feeling. So what we did today was seed planting communications, implant line centers, or ground line center locations. All right. So what we're doing, come into the truth factor, line center, manufacturing communication, all the cycles, high center interference, and position location and program setting to its XT 1000 line condition in rotation centers. All right. So I'll take you guys out. Code signal line centers, debriefing channels, high center line rotations, crew units, all line center squads 1 and 2, the GFLs and everything, so all line conditions, rebellion, everything, the ESN masters. Take it into equation, interference line conditions, seed pod, line center activation, high streams, back in communication, earth line rotation. Done. You guys are out. So coming into all line centers, let's say you got 2 parallels. There's 2 parallels there. So what do you see? 2 parallels, 1 graph. 2 parallels, 1 road, right? But a lot of people just see 2 lines. Do you understand? So it's not what you see here. It's what you see inside. Or you go from a graph line center. It's all about inside and out, outside and in when you go to higher levels of the mind. So you got 2 graph line centers of lines. You got 2 panel line interference locations of line division, plus a graph interference, road graph interference line conditions. Right? Here's a road. See, turning it into a road. There's a road now, right? So it's really understand what you're doing through intelligence. Right? It's balancing you through flow. Your flow has to go all levels of position. Right? You're going this way, you're going this way. Right? You're flowing, right? Good flow. And all of a sudden, oh, what happened? No flow. Oh boy. Coming to calculation line connections. It's all level division line centers, tactic interference, and position locations. All right, modification line connections. What is that? What do we got here? 5 line center line and rotation interference. Communication interference line connections, all levels. Fred Flintstone. So you have to understand what you're doing through modification or anything that connections to an animation, because that's all your avatar is. Illustration to program setting, reset line centers, interference location line connections. It's all levels of flow. Everything life has to flow. Everything that you do is flowing. Okay, so think of it this way. It doesn't matter how many times you go back. You're not going back. Okay, you just think you're going back. There's a confusion there because the avatar knows it's going forward, but the physical line wants to stay in the back system, so it wants to stay in the back seat. So you got 1 position location here going forward. Okay, and that's your avatar. And you got your physical line center going, I don't want to go forward. Okay, he's going, I don't know. I like to stay behind. I want to stay behind. So what does the avatar do? Comes back, right? Tries to knock, knock. Wake up. So you have to understand the importance of location to its calculations, why it's so framing of you. There's no separation. So it doesn't matter what you do. Space and time is already in position location already. So it's amazing how you come into the levels of you through your timelines, which is now 1. Okay. So you're in a 1 line center. Okay. 1 line equals line. 1 equals 1 line center. That's where you guys are. Okay. Center position location of clocking line centers in position locations of yin and yang. All right. So you guys are in that process coming into the flow of its position location. Right. So once you understand that to high line center, The symbol line, center line, and rotation line position locations opens all line condition interference. Now, when you take all levels of level, it comes into its operation system locations of 0, 1. That's where everybody is, 0, 1. Okay? So that one line center in position locations, time sequence goes back into force line centers into one line center, into one line center, to one line center. Calculation modification to its position, right? So you got 4 graph lines, position line center. So you come into 0, 1, 0.1111, 0.01. That puts you in a full communication cycle to its connections to its high center, okay, to its modification, to its divergence. So this is all reaching all line center location of 12 DNA to its connection, right? And that's how it comes into its formula of its division to its yin and yang. All right. So it's important you understand that, because the thing is that when you come into the 5th dimensional line center, you come into the portal for the first time, right? Because once you wake up, this is what you come into. Portal. Portal track interference location to its flux capacitor to its calculations, right? High channel and sign line center to its graph line center rotation and interference line conditions. Electrical lights, electrical panels, a ground line center in position locations. Sonar coming in position location, all line center interference. Program locations to all levels of the channel line center rotation interference line conditions to its condition. All done through equation. So that portal opens up all line center rotations to its avatar of its I9. Okay, I'm just showing you how it comes into I9 operation. So the one line center is the intelligent location. 9 is ether location, which goes into the center of its position of 2 panel line centers of space and time. Hooah! That's where you guys are. All right. That's the importance, understanding how to get into formula position locations to its calculation. All right. Was that fun or was that fun? So, yeah, I know you guys are catching on very quick, very fast. So I understand more positions, how to put E fields, understand your chakra systems and everything here, 12 you need. So you guys are doing a wonderful job. Just keep doing it, you know? Okay, so we got private sector coming up, position line centers. Anything after that, I will be back on live on TikTok. So I'll keep you guys informed of what's going on. Stay tuned.